just trying to imagine the feeling of actually going 5 for 5 on my TBR for once. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and in this video I just want to show you my 5 books that I've selected for the month of January that I want to get to. I've been trying to set myself a little bit lower limits here in the past year, and I think I've been doing halfway decent, but I think I got a good chance actually, considering one's really small and one's already half read. It's only 3.5, 4-ish books worth of reading to actually do. I read more than that, but it ends up being, everyone knows how it is. You just don't really read your TBR and stuff. But let's just go ahead and get started. I'll go with the first one that I don't have a physical copy of, and it is Anthony Everett's Nero. Anthony Everett is a popular history writer. It was always weird when you say popular science or popular history, as in not academic. I think I have a couple of his somewhere. I got Cicero and Hadrian over here that I've read. I think I've read, I think he wrote the Rise of Athens that I've also read as well. Then I think there's one on either Augustus or Caesar or something like that. Anyways, he's got a whole bunch of kind of classical history books on either different figures from Greco-Roman history or different topics such as the Rise of Athens and whatnot. I really enjoy them. They're just nice, easy reads that you still learn a lot from. You get a lot of insight kind of into the characters involved and whatnot. So when I saw I think Nero just came out 2 months, I think it was in November. I read a book on Caligula, the Mad Emperor of Rome, but I don't think I've actually read a book specifically on Nero. So it'd be kind of neat to actually read a book on each of the Roman emperors, since I read so much Greco-Roman history anyways. I think that'd actually almost be something fairly achievable. Let's see, Augustus, Caligula, I got one on Trajan I'm going to read soon. Read Septimius Severus, so all the big ones during the crisis of the 3rd century, and there's 50 emperors in 70 years. I don't think there's gonna be a book on each of them. But anyways, that's the audio book that I'm gonna hopefully get to maybe during the course of January. All right, so for another biography, so this will fit good with the Historathon, which is a really cool readathon that a whole slew of other cool booktubers are doing. Though I'll have to probably do a video just to say I'm joining in and stuff, just because I read I love how so much history. This is the nature section. All the history's on my left side. But anyways, another one that kind of pairs well with probably Nero will be Hannibal, Rome's Greatest Enemy by Philip Freeman. He's kind of in the same vein as Anthony Everett. He writes a lot of sort of biographies in the popular history style. He wrote I think I want to say Alexander the Great, that's been highly regarded, and I think he has a Julius Caesar biography as well. But I haven't read those. But I do have a whole shelf, not a whole shelf, about a half a shelf of Punic history books, which for those who don't know are the 3 wars, generally, the 3 wars between Rome and Carthage in the 2nd and 3rd centuries BCE. But just really interesting. Hannibal is one of my favorite people to learn about during in the whole ancient world and history in general. So anytime I see a biography of Hannibal, or a biography of Hannibal, because there really isn't enough probably to write up just a pure biography without just including a lot of the Second Punic War and stuff. But anyways, anytime I see one, I'm probably going to ask for it or pick it up or find some way to add it to the collection. So I'm hoping this one pans out to be really good. Philip Freeman does have a pretty good reputation, so I'm hoping to get a little bit of new insight, see something from a different slant from that. And Anthony Everett is one of the blurbs on the back there. Paul Cartledge, Barry Strauss, other authors that I've read that I've enjoyed. So I think that one will end up being pretty good. One of my goals, usually, I haven't actually done my goals video yet this year. Let me know if you've set yourself any kind of bookish goals, because I kind of want to see what other people do before I set my own, because I've just done really, really bad historically with meeting my goals. I think I was on my last video, I think it was 2 for 4. I only set myself 4 goals and only hit 2 of them. So yeah, leave a comment down below if you set yourself any kind of goals for the year for reading different kinds of authors or topics or anything like that. But usually I like to read one of these books per month, just to kind of get me kind of going on a different topic or introducing myself to kind of a new thing or anything like that. And I think there's 800 books. I think this is one of the older ones, so it's not going to tell. I think they're closing in on 800 if I remember correctly. But just all kinds of science, all kinds of history, all kinds of literature, all kinds of philosophy, all kinds of like everything essentially. And this one is Epicureanism by Catherine Wilson. A very short introduction. Epicureanism is a branch of philosophy stemming from the ancient Greek world. It does get a bad rep as sort of like hedonism, right? Because Epicurean kind of became like the, just like, just a connoisseur of like fine things or whatever. Especially like kind of like in food and drinks and stuff. But real Epicureanism from the ancient world was more or less having like, you were like super happy because you didn't really desire like a whole lot. I think if I remember correctly, so I'm kind of hoping I read this one and kind of get a fuller understanding of what's going on there. So yeah, that's why I picked this one, and hopefully I learn a lot from it. Next up are two birding books. If you watched my last video on my book haul for December, I talked kind of a little bit about like bird watching and getting into birding and stuff. So I got two birding books here. We got Birds by the Shore by Jennifer Ackerman, and this is all about kind of the New England coastline, the Atlantic seaboard, I think, of different shorebirds and sort of her observations of them and just different thoughts and musings, I think, on that topic. She's written a couple other books called The Bird Way, which I also have to get to at some point. And I read The Genius of Birds a long time ago, and I highly, highly recommend that. If you want to learn anything about bird intelligence, that is definitely the book kind of to go to for that. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure on this one. It says for 3 years, Jennifer lived in a small coastal town of Lewis, Delaware. So I think, yeah, it's kind of all about just kind of observing and learning about kind of the seashore life of the Atlantic seaboard there. So I'm hoping to learn a lot. Even though I live in New England, I'm not by the ocean, unfortunately. I'm in the middle of nowhere in the far north. But I do go to the beach. I do go to Bar Harbor and stuff like every year. So anyways, I do like the sea life and everything. I got a feel good on like just on a whim. I bought like the seashore guide just because I was like, I wish I could do this like every day. And lastly is a book I've already started, and it's Birding Basics by Noah Stricker. Tips, tools, and techniques for great bird watching. Just really informative so far. I'm about halfway through. Each spread kind of deals with different things, like right there, like watching warblers and just tips and tricks dealing with that. Kind of like what to look for on a first impression when you see a bird, things like that. So I think it's really cool. Just kind of giving me, I've done bird watching just from like home and just kind of like as I'm like identifying plants and animals and stuff like that, but I've never really taken birding, like actually actively like looking for them seriously. So hoping to like learn a lot from that and kind of get going with my feet on the ground towards that end. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of cool stuff. And if you do want to support the channel, a good way to do it is actually just to check out my Etsy shop here, and just even like liking some items or favoriting the shop helps quite a bit in the Etsy algorithm. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and whatever you end up reading this month of January, always remember, read victoriously.